Jim, I got another question here from Charlie in Starkville, Mississippi. Let me read this one.
I'm sure you do.
Kyle O'Reilly recently said people coming into NXT don't love the business. Here's a quote. There are a lot of people coming in that I don't think have a real love for it. I'm sure they'll do well. They'll make a big splash, be a big star, and make a ton of money. But at the end of the day, if your heart really isn't into it, I don't know. What are your thoughts on Kyle O'Reilly's take on the new batch of wrestlers coming into NXT?
Yeah, well, I actually saw a transcript, or not excerpts from that interview, and there was another quote he said where he said he considers himself a pro wrestler. And a lot of the other people consider they're entertainers, or they're buying into what the WWE office tells them. They're not supposed to say wrestler or whatever, and they buy into that, and that's fine with them. But he knew that, his time was dwindling, because where's a spot for Kyle O'Reilly, who considers himself a pro wrestler and wants to be a pro wrestler, when not only won't they let you be pro wrestlers, but guys that are coming in are actively saying, we're not wrestlers. It's not a place for Kyle O'Reilly, is what he was saying. And I agree with him. Kyle's always been very serious and dedicated to his training and to the business from the time he was in Ring of Honor. That's what first attracted me to want to do more with Kyle and with poor Adam Cole. But Kyle was, especially with his training, with his MMA training, with going out and working as many independent shows as he could just to get in the ring anywhere in front of anybody. He, I guess I can say this now. The statute of limitations ran out. His partner, Davey Richards, outed him one time. Kyle was from Canada and came here originally to live with Davey so that he could work more often than he could in Canada, and he was illegal. And every once in a while he could sneak home and visit the family, but he had to worry about whether he could get back, and he wouldn't go often simply because he wanted to make sure he could wrestle. And which is another thing when the guys stooge on themselves. Me and Hunter Delirious got up one day and turned on the Twitter, and there was Davey Richards had tweeted, because he was mad at, and rightfully so, that someone else had done something, but people were overlooking Kyle. He had a good sentiment, expressed it wrong, right? When he said, look at a guy like Kyle O'Reilly. It's crossed over from Canada and lives here illegally just to be able to get more experience. I mean, you still know. And we said, stop it, take it down, cancel it. He had to call somebody that had excerpted it to take it down or whatever. I'm like, Jesus Christ. But anyway, yes, Kyle was always dedicated. And I can see, especially with the changes they made from what NXT was to what it is now, that he wouldn't want to be there, and I don't blame him.
I guess it's always been a divide, but it's only grown the last 10 years, 15 years. The people who love the wrestling, who were there because they wanted to be involved with wrestling, and the people who just show up, are probably paid more than you're paid, don't have any interest in it. It's kind of like, I hate to put it this way, but if you look at Lex Luger in like 86 and 87 and just applied that to a whole bunch of people, kind of that attitude.
Yeah, well, not even honestly, and I was there when Lex came in, and I've talked to him numerous times over the years. Lex at least understood that he was making a lot of money at to do a thing, a profession that he didn't have a lot of experience in or knowledge of, but he knew to try to learn from the people that were around him. That's why they put him with the Horsemen, and he was opposite, all the great baby faces, blah, blah, blah. He didn't get in the wrestling business thinking this is something I can pass through on my way to becoming a television celebrity of some sort. He said, okay, he may have been making more money quicker because of his look than anybody else in wrestling, and being catered to and helped along and pushed and shoved and whatever. But the end goal was still for him to be a main event guy in wrestling, making a lot of money for however many years to come. He wasn't trying to do it so he'd get in the movies. And that's what most of the jack-offs that Now, and it, you can't even fucking blame these guys in some cases, them, because they're led to think that's what this business is, a way to get on television and be a celebrity and have reality TV shows about me because I'm somebody somewhere. That's what it looks like. A lot of these, they see indie shows where it looks like, oh, they're doing cool moves and people are cheering. I could do that, and then I could be in a movie and get a reality TV show on whatever fucking network. It's all, they all just want to be celebrities of some description without factoring into you need to be really good at something to be famous. They don't care about that anymore. So it's easier to get into wrestling to get on TV than to get in actual TV these days. So they just all want to get into wrestling so they can get on TV.
How would you compare someone like Luger to someone like Brock in terms of early in their career being paid way more money than they probably should have to start? How does that affect a wrestler?
I think Brock was obviously visibly less interested in the wrestling business than Lex was. But see, the thing is, Lex was a very intelligent, well-spoken guy. I mean, that was not a rib. He had either a 3.8 or a 4.0 grade average, and he was a very, well-spoken, well-mannered type of fellow, whereas, Brock's the goddamn jock that they push through because he's a genetic beast, and, and they pride those in the major colleges. Lex was not a top-level athlete that was a star player for the college. He was, he went for the cosmetic, the bodybuilding. So I think Lex probably had exhibited a little bit more interest at the start in learning how this shit worked. I think Brock just had the demeanor. Maybe he's just always, sullen and quiet or whatever the fuck. He's not a fireball personality, as we've mentioned. He's not a jolly joker that likes to tell jokes and laugh. I've seen him laugh more on TV the last 3 weeks than I ever had. He was just doing it from the start. I guess this is what I'm going to do to make a lot of money. And that, good for him.